All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Teacher Lady Show. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Behind the Book. Today's Behind the Book is going to be on the story Rosie, Revere, Engineer. It is a story of tenacity, perseverance, and creativity, which reminds me that every single week we have a new topic. And this week's topic is all about getting your child to think outside the box, use their creativity to build something new, and to utilize the resources around them to be able to do so. If you have not done so yet, be sure to check out the Read Aloud first on the Teacher Lady Reads playlist, and then come right back here for this Behind the Book review, where we will be going over the glows, what I think was done well, the grows, what I think could have been done differently, who this book is for, how do you utilize it as a resource to have a more robust conversation with your little one, and so much more, all on this episode of Behind the Book, where we go beyond the pages to get to the heart of the story. You ready? Let's grow. Summary in my own words. This is a book really about creating and doing. And throughout the book, you see this engineer, this young engineer, Rosie, who has all of these excellent ideas. And some of them get laughed at, but some of them get encouraged. And I would say that just overall, the summary is to create. It's about a girl who is creative and who has a desire to create. Take home message and the target age group. There were multiple take-home messages for this story, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. One of the take-home messages is definitely to follow your ideas. Like, I love the fact that Rosie had an idea and then she was executing on that idea. Like, she thought it and then she was doing it. There was not a lot of waste time in between. She spent her nights creating and thinking. She had her notebook. Like, she was just that girl when it came to making something special. Another take-home message is to continue to follow your dreams and the creative ideas that you have, even when other people cannot see the beauty in them. And so in the story, Rosie creates something for her uncle, and her uncle laughs at her. You know, he laughs at the invention, and it made her really sad. And honestly, for a moment in the story, she stopped creating because of how bad it hurt her feelings. But then by the next page, she was back to creating. And I think that that's so reflective of our experience in real life. We have these huge dreams and goals and things we want to accomplish. And it feels like when we share them for support, or in Rosie's case as a gift, they end up being laughed at or mocked or just not acknowledged in a way in which we want. And so I really appreciated that part of the book as well. But so many take-home messages, the take-home message of creativity, of perseverance, of following your dreams and your ideas, and so much more. And then in terms of age group, again, 5 years old and up is a really safe bet for this story. And I feel like children who are younger will enjoy kind of the pictures and some of the rhyming. But if you wanted to have a conversation, I would go 5. I would go 5 years old and up. Who this book is for. I would love this book for young girls. I feel like as young girls, there's so many societal pressures to look a certain way, to do certain things, to be a certain way, to sit a certain way. And that list kind of continues. And the main character in the story is just this powerhouse. It's based off of Rosie the Riveter, which is explained in the back of the book. But because the main character is so strong in so many ways and extremely creative and a bit of a mess, I feel like young girls could really find some comfort in seeing a character of this caliber. I also think that this book is extremely powerful for both children who are already creative and just need a reminder of how far they can take it, as well as children who really struggle with the creativity aspect, because it does encourage children to look at the resources available and to kind of let their brains explore. So overall, this is an excellent book for young girls and for your creative little one. Glows. Oh, I have so many glows. I love the rhyming aspect of the story because the message did not get lost. I believe that it's very difficult with children books to rhyme and keep the message. And so oftentimes you'll see the rhyme sacrificed and inconsistent, but the message is really strong, or vice versa. And I think that this book did an excellent job of holding space for both the rhyming element, but as well as the actual story. Another glow for me is in the back of the book. She does talk about World War II and its impacts on women and how much women contributed to that war and to creating and manufacturing for all of these different countries. I love a tad bit of history when it comes to picture books, especially if there is a certain person that is referenced that children otherwise wouldn't know about. I think that that's really cool. And then my next glow is definitely the pictures. I loved all the different items in the photos. Every page is just full with stuff and Rosie figuring out what to do. I loved how witty she was, how creative she was. I just really like this story because we need the reminder that our ideas are valid, that they can work, which brings me to another glow for this story, the aunt. You know, at one point, Rosie tried to make something for her aunt and her aunt laughed, and Rosie took it as this negative way and was like, I'm never creating again. And her aunt encouraged her, and her aunt was like, girl, you did it. You created the thing you wanted to create. Maybe it didn't have the results that you thought it was going to have, but you did it. And now you can get better and you can make it better, but you started. And there was just this encouragement which pushed Rosie to keep creating. And I think that that's also reflective of us in real life. Sometimes we need that pick me up. Sometimes we need that encouragement that, hey, you're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. Like sometimes it feels really good to hear that. And it is the difference between us quitting and keeping going strong. Okay. Like even if you think about at work, you've worked on a huge project and you've really, really tried. And then your supervisor comes and they're like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. Thank you so much for creating this. Like, you know, just kind of gives you praises versus you put this energy and this effort and you give it to your supervisor and they say nothing. You're going to feel away. And children are the same way. In many ways, they require a great deal of reassurance because they're figuring out who they are in life. And I always say adults ain't nothing but bigger kids, and we need the same thing, okay? Grows. Grows is easy for this one. I don't have any. It is a very well crafted and made book. I can see so many educational aspects of this story and so many ways that it will help your child in terms of their own creativity. Discussion points to have with your child. One of the discussion points I would have is around perseverance, which if needed, we do have an entire week on the Teacher Lady Show about the subject of perseverance. But I would talk to my child about the ways in which Rosie had to persevere. When did she almost quit and stop and why? And how that reflects on your child and their personal life, and what times were they made fun of or were they told that their ideas weren't any good, and how did they get past that? And I feel like bringing it in from the story is always helpful. You can also have the discussion around creativity. What are some of the things that Rosie made? What are some of the weird things that you've thought of creating or making that maybe you're a little shy to share with the world? You know, in this episode, I'll share that I'm a songwriter. So I don't sing, but I do write. And it is a little like I want my songs out there, but like, how do I go about that process? Like, there's a little bit of a nervousness there. And so talking to your child about what is it that they're hiding from the world, what talents do they have that they haven't quite shared yet, and what ideas do they have that they might be a little bit embarrassed about to share with other people. I think that those are all really awesome ways to use this book as a resource to encourage your child and to raise a child that is more creative and that is willing to give things a try. Final thoughts. Wow, I know that y'all can hear how much I love this book. We had some awesome books this week. So many great books on this show. Be sure to check out this book and the purchase link in the description box below. Along those same lines, I am an author and an illustrator, and I encourage you to check out my line of children's books, as well as the Empathy Library, which was created to get books to children in need on purpose. So there is a pay it forward donation page that you can go check out the Empathy Library. Go check out my books. Definitely add this one to your home library or your school library. Thank you for learning with me, for growing with me, for being part of this book loving community. On Friday, we have the Teacher Lady Speaks, which wraps up this week's episode. So be sure to check out that, and that way you have all the information on the topic of creativity and raising a creative child. But until next time, you remember to enjoy the moment or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.